For the last couple of years, people have been making all kinds of predictions about AI, about the best utopia ever coming and the worst doomsday scenario ever and everything in between. I find that hypothesizing the future can be fun and be really interesting, but that it's not really a useful exercise. So we don't do a lot of it on this podcast. We make minor predictions and call some fun shots, but we haven't done a lot of it here. But today, I actually want to dive into it a little bit more because it's been almost 3 years since ChatGPT came out. Some history has evolved, and you know that the best predictor of what's coming in the future sometimes is what's happened in the past. So now that we've had a little bit of legroom and some time to see how this AI thing plays out, I actually think there are a few things that we can count on reliably and are therefore safe to discuss. So welcome back to the AI-Driven Marketer. I'm Dan Sanchez. My friends call me Danchez. And in this particular type of episode, I like to break down what's going on in the news, what's going on in the world. But there hasn't been a lot of major AI news and updates other than the ChatGPT project update to OpenAI, which I covered in yesterday's episode. So today I want to take a step back and look at the bigger picture of things to help you, the marketers, understand what's going on to better align your careers and make plans for the future. So let's talk about the first one. I think there are 3 things that we can count on when it comes to what's coming with AI, right? 3 things that I would bet money on are going to be true, okay? The first one is that AI is going to continue to improve. Now, that might seem obvious to some people, but I don't think you understand. I've been paying attention to the AI space now aggressively for about 1.5 years, and it seems like every couple of months, there are a lot of naysayers saying we're going to hit a wall, things are going to stop progressing, LLMs can only go so far. There's always a ruckus around that, and people wonder, well, I don't know, maybe it will stop progressing. And honestly, even 1 year ago, I was saying look, even if it does stop progressing, and this is still true, but even if it does stop progressing, we will have 5 more years of innovation because all the practical people like me and you, it takes us time to even figure out how to put the tools to use. They put out these great tools and developers are like, okay, what can we build with them? It takes years for it to be integrated into our workflows, into our processes, into our existing tools. But it hasn't stopped progressing, has it? No, it's taking major leaps and bounds. So if you look at this, I like looking at Ethan Mollick is a great a person I pay attention to for news because I know he does a good job of vetting what he's seeing. And he's talking about how the improvements are happening over time, especially with bringing the cost down to render these computes, because right now it gets really expensive, but every single year it gets cheaper and cheaper and a little farther up. He even went and had this graph from Epoch AI that is showing the rate of improvements across all these colored lines we're looking at on this graph are showing accuracy across these big benchmarks, these big tests. And you can see on the left side we have ChatGPT 3, on the right side we have ChatGPT 5, and there were some big jumps between 3 and 4, but remember, it was only a few months between those things of when they released it to us to benchmark like this. And of course, there's a huge jump from 4 to 5, but there's a lot of small improvements along the way, making it feel like not that big of a difference from 4 to 5, even though between when 4 first came out and when 5 came out, there's a massive leap in difference to show that these things are improving. They're not hitting a wall. They continue to get better. Hey, just a quick interruption. This is Dan here, and I just want to apologize because I've never shared this resource with you. It's from a good friend, Brian, and he created a fantastic resource that has brought him a high-ticket customer every week for the last 52 weeks. The first time I saw it, I couldn't believe how simple it actually was to implement, and I'm using it even in my own business now. And it's a tool around how to leverage not your own audience, but other people's audiences in order to generate leads and get clients. So I want to share this research with you. He breaks it down in exact detail so that you can actually learn how to leverage the audiences of other people like I am today. Go to danchez.com/BOPA, BOPA, in order to get access to Brian's resource and guide on how to leverage partnerships and other people's audiences in order to generate high-paying ticket clients now. Again, that's danchez.com/BOPA. So I think that's something we can count on. We can actually look at this and be like, okay, this is a stake we can put in the ground and be like, this is going to continue to be a thing. If it continues to get better, then it's going to continue to get more useful. It's going to continue to get more and more integrated into the way that we do things. It means change is coming. Now, there was one thing I used to think about a lot, and that is, well, just because it's improving fast doesn't mean it gets adopted fast, which kind of brings me to my next post from one of my favorite AI creators here on LinkedIn is Nicole Leffer, and she was talking about recently, she's just noticed a shift amongst some different demographics, some different generations that are usually slow to adopt tech, and noticing that there's not just an adoption, but adoption of that it's more nuanced, that is going into different tools now and is getting an excitement and a level of enthusiasm around this new tech than before. And I'm seeing it myself. More and more people are bringing AI to me, not knowing that I specialize in AI. And they're like, have you seen what this? Have you tried that? Have you noticed this advancement here? And I'm like, I've noticed the same thing as what Nicole's noticing. And I've noticed that there's an uptick in the adoption. The hype cycle is actually finally getting people to put their hands on the tools, download ChatGPT at least, if not more, maybe Perplexity, maybe testing the tool in Gemini because they already have Google Workspaces or something. And it's starting to make a difference. People are starting to pick up the tools. And not only that, but the tools are becoming more useful. Like more and more people are tapping into it, be like, oh, this is way better than Google. Yeah. So even my wife, who's she's not the most friendly towards adopting AI, she's a little bit skeptical of it, is now starting to use it because, well, it's becoming more intuitive. It's becoming easier to get what you want as AI does a better job of navigating and discerning what you actually want when you type in a query versus Google. It got a lot better, but you're still having to search for it. AI just gives you the answer. Now, that's just one use case of 100 use cases of what you can use AI for. I mean, that's what Wednesday's episode was about, right? I talked about 10 different ways that I'm using AI in my daily life. Go back to that episode to learn more about all those things. But as AI becomes more useful and gets more powerful and is improving steadily, well, adoption is going to grow. More people are going to tap into how powerful this thing is. And I think it's a safe bet to say that the adoption cycle will start to grow at a much faster rate because all the tech companies are focused on it. All the big tech companies are focused on making it as convenient to use as possible. They know there's gold in them hills when it comes to AI, and they're going to continue integrating it and making it more user-friendly, making it more approachable, making it more useful to the average user, to the point where it's hard to even find a dumb phone, so we all use smartphones now. Have you ever tried to find a dumb phone? It's pretty difficult. I have. But AI is going to be incorporated and essentially, you could say shoved down our throats, but I don't think most people are going to resist. They're going to take it because it's going to make their life easier, more useful. I also saw this post from Rand Fishkin. This was just kind of a tease of a webinar that they did. And I haven't even seen the webinar, but even the graphs that he posted about AI adoption have been very telling. This one in particular was really helpful for me when it talks about the adoption curve of AI tools. You can see slowly, what is it? Let me break it down for you if you can't see the screen. But it kind of has this bar chart that shows like 100% of web users, right? So it's like the world's wide web, everyone using the web, or at least what data could be collected from Datos and SparkToro. We have people using AI tools, 0 visits a month, 1 to 3 visits a month, 4 to 9 visits a month, and 10 plus visits a month to any of the major tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot, Gemini, Perplexity, DeepSeek, all those things. And you can see this bar chart, and you can see that the 10 plus, of course, all of them are growing other than the 0 visits a month is shrinking in favor for the ones where more and more people are essentially going to these AI tools, 10 plus visits a month. So the most recent, June 2025, has 20% of people going to these sites 10 plus times a month. And this is across the large data sample collected from a ton of different devices. So it's a pretty good little representation of what's going on online when it comes to people's website visit behavior. That's kind of indicating a lot more people are using the tools. It's still only 20% going to it 10 plus times a month, but the curve is growing, and I think that will continue to grow. So that's my second prediction, right? AI adoption is not slowing down. It's certainly not growing as fast as the improvements in the tool. The improvements are on an almost exponential scale. It's a logarithmic curve of going up and to the right, versus the adoption rate is more slow and steady, but it is steadily improving. More and more people, and we went from March 2023, we had maybe 5% going to these tools 10 plus times a month, up to 20%. So that's a lot of adoption. and that'll continue to grow. Of course, Google is like 90%, right? 90% of us go there 10 plus times a month, right? And that was another graph they had. I'll link to this below if you want to check out their webinar to see more of this kind of data. But I thought this one graph was telling in and of its. So what are my 3 predictions? Again, the tech is going to continue to get better. There isn't a wall. It's going to continue to improve. 2, users are actually adopting it for a number of different reasons, but they are adopting it slow and steady. More and more people are using these tools, and that will continue to grow, and I think will accelerate at some point. It won't just be slow and steady. It will have an acceleration curve of some kind as it gets incorporated into our devices. There won't be any way but to use AI in order to get things done. And my 3rd prediction is that there is going to be some unpredictable consequences of the first 2 predictions. There are going to be things that we didn't even know we had to deal with until it was too late. Some of it will be fantastic, like whole new things of ways of doing things that nobody could have predicted. There will be some horrible things that nobody could have predicted. But for sure, that something this big and this widely integrated into our lives is going to have good and bad consequences. So it's hard to know what those are going to be. Like the sycophancy thing. Like that's a word that we only learned just back in the spring, and I think is going to continue to be a big deal. But that's a thing that we didn't even really think about until chat started getting so good that people started having delusions of how what they were capable of, or how good their ideas actually were until this last spring. And now it's kind of a known thing that I continue to talk about on the show to be aware of. That's one of the negative things. On the other side, it's starting to become such a great co-pilot for your life because of how well it can pick up information and search things, that it's becoming useful for so many other areas of life other than just marketing. So that was unexpected. I didn't realize how useful it would become so quickly. And that's going to have consequences in productivity in a really good way. So there's going to be a lot of things that we can't really predict. Sure, we could watch sci-fi, we can make some bold predictions, but we really still don't know. The job loss or job market is still kind of an unknown at this point, though we can certainly see a few different industries or sectors that are being hurt right now, like copywriting and customer service, and even entry-level web development is being hurt as far as the new jobs being created in that field because of AI. Are we creating a lot of jobs with AI right now? I haven't seen a lot of it yet, but it's certainly getting incorporated into more and more jobs, especially marketing jobs. Though there is one news story that I want to cover lastly in the news segment of this show, and that is on the Diary of a CEO, Dr. Roman Yampolskiy, sorry if I butchered the name, is saying there will only be these 5 jobs will be remaining, and there will be a total global apocalypse by 2027 because AI is getting too dangerous. And while it's fun and juicy to watch episodes like this, I don't think they're particularly helpful. Of course, you could join the ranks, enjoy waving the banners, but it's not going back. We're not going back. It's not going to slow down. There probably does need to be some safety things that are addressed. But in general, I find that videos like this only fill us with fear and insecurity. But I tend to recommend and jumping into this with a optimistic beat, but a realistic beat. Like there's going to be bad things that happen. And giving way into fear like this, I think, is just not going to be helpful. There's a lot of uncertainty. We need to step into it with confidence, with clarity about what it's capable now and what we can do with it now, and with hope for the future so that we can be the leaders that step into our companies, into our social circles, and into our lives to lead with confidence, to tell people this is what it should be like. We should be human first, yet AI driven. We should make the most of this. We should use this to become more productive and get more done, yet without sacrificing the human edge that we all bring to the table. And I think you need to lead with optimism because there's no such thing as a pessimistic leader. Something a wise leader once told me. So I'm trying to step into this with optimism, thinking it's better to lead with optimism and hope and to shape the future that we want to see with AI, rather to give into the world's going to fall, the sky is falling, it's all going to come apart, and there's nothing we can do about it. So while it's an interesting watch, and I recommend watching it just to see what other people are talking about, just know that this is a belief that you don't have to subscribe to. Moving on, I did a poll on LinkedIn recently, and I didn't ask an AI question this time. I asked a different question. I asked, why haven't you started a podcast yet? because I've noticed there are very few podcasts out in the world. And yes, it's funny that despite the fact that there's less podcasts than blogs and YouTube channels and social accounts, a lot of people, 42%, said they haven't started a podcast because there's too many of them. And I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? You know, there's less podcasts than every other channel. Did you know that only like 90% of those channels that are out there like make it past episode 7? It is a blue ocean, but still other people have reasons like there's not enough time, nothing unique to say. 1% said it costs too much, so it's clearly not a cost thing. But I thought this was interesting, and that's why I decided to help people launch more podcasts. In fact, my business partner and I decided to put on a podcast challenge in order to help more solopreneurs, experts, and consultants launch more podcasts, because I felt like the medium needed more voices out in the field. Just like this one I'm doing with the AI-driven marketer, I felt like more people needed a chance to be able to get their voice heard, to get their expertise out there so that they could educate their clients, they could educate their prospects to build demand for themselves, to build demand for their services, and if not, just help a lot of people for free. I find podcasting to be the best AI tool out there because I can sit here and record an episode and use that transcript to repurpose into an avalanche of content down the road. It's also a lot easier to produce than YouTube videos, though I tend to be spending a little bit more time on the production side these days, if you haven't noticed. A podcast is a lot easier to produce than any YouTube video, but you still get a full video with every single podcast, whether you're recording on Zoom or Riverside or like me with Zencaster. So the podcast challenge is a 21-day challenge where we're helping people go from 0 to 7 episodes in 21 days. That helps them get into the top 10%. Because again, 90% die before they even make it to episode 7. So I'm like, dang, if we could help people just get to their first 7 episodes to build up the reps to continue going, that would be a win. And of course, there is a price to it with a fun reward, because if you actually make it all the way to the end and you complete the daily task, about a 30-minute task every single day, you get a full refund. Yeah, it costs $9.97, but you get it all back if you complete the challenge. And even if you don't complete every task on time, but you do get your 7 episodes done, then you get to the $9.97 towards a credit towards Solo Scaled, which is a community of people and a coaching program to help you scale your company with AI, specifically for solopreneurs, coaches, consultants, those kinds of people. So if that's interesting to you, go over to solopodcastchallenge.com, and we want to help you launch a show like the AI-driven marketer, because honestly, this is the best marketing channel I could have ever launched. It's been a fantastic ride, and I want to help more people do the same. And to wrap up this podcast, I have a viral post that has just been going viral. It's been doing well on LinkedIn. It's kind of a thread of posts, but man, look how real this AI video looks. It's a dog who brought a hose from the outside in, and the hose is turned on, and it's like flooding a person's living room, and then they walk in and they're like shocked by all the water. It looks so real. The autonomy, the way the dog's moving, even the camera footage looks real. All the furniture looks real. Oh, the couch changed in that frame, but everything looks so real that it's like hard to discern what is real anymore. Now, discerning eyes can look and be like, oh, the couch changed between the 2 frames, but everything looks pretty good, and it's fooling a lot of people. It's gotten 70 million views in 7 days across TikTok and other social platforms, and here, even on this thread, it's gotten something like a few million views here. It's 2.6 million views just on X. So it goes to show that AI video has come a long way. It's fooling a lot of people, and it's something to be wary of now that you're scrolling through the net, to be extra skeptical, as if we didn't need to be skeptical on the internet enough. Now, we need to be more skeptical because video footage can be faked so easily these days. And while that's certainly a warning, it's also an opportunity for marketing, not to fool people, but to bring your product to life in a way that it's never been before. What would it be like if you had your product, if you have to sell a physical product, to bring it to life, have somebody holding it, doing something extreme, embellishing a little bit like the features of a product, right? We all know that these Super Bowl-ish commercials were out of reach for us because we didn't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on the creative. But now it's all about the idea. If you have a good idea for a way to show a feature off in the product, all of a sudden, if you spend some time just on Google Gemini, you can get a whole awesome, even just little mini video done with AI. And of course, I would try to make it larger than life because, well, that's what AI is good at. You could try to make it look like a normal video of a chiropractor cracking your back, but I'm like, you should probably use stock footage for that because AI is probably going to make it look silly. But if it's a chiropractor flying through the sky as he cracks your back or something, I don't know, that's kind of silly. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you can come up with ideas that are impossible, and that's what AI is really good for. So I'm looking forward to seeing more and more marketers tap into the creative potential of what AI video can do, because it's certainly looking more and more real. And I'm not saying we need to use it to fake people. I'm just saying we should use it to come up with fantastic creative.